Well, John, here we are after the conclusion of the 24-25 season. How do you assess it overall?
I think it's been a relative success. We've managed to achieve the goal that we set out at the start of the season, which was to stay in the league. We've done it a different way, I think, than we would have liked to. It's been a bit difficult at times, and there's definitely been a tough season. There's been lots of ups and downs, but we've come through the other end. We're still a Championship football club. That's the most important thing. So, I think when we look back at it, we'll see it as a success.
Firstly, let's talk about the retained and released list. Firstly, Cassini Yeni, who departs after 2 years here, and he's a player who's made a big contribution in his time at the club, especially during our League One winning season. Yeah,
Cass has had a massive impact, and from the very first game that he played here, he came on against Bristol Rovers, the opening game of the league season last year, and then very, very quickly, I think, established himself as one of the fans' favourites. He scored a brace midweek against Forest Green that week, came on and scored a penalty against Leyton Orient, and then his form in terms of goal scoring continued through the season. Whenever he was called upon, he scored big goals for the football club, and he was a massive part of the league winning campaign last year, and to be honest, a big part of what we achieved this year as well. He had enough of an impact to make sure that he's left with his head held really high, and we wish him all the best in the future.
Cohen Bramall, Tom Lowry, Anthony Scully and Alex Milosevic, 4 players also departing who leave with the club's best wishes.
Yeah, it's always it was a difficult time of the season when you part with players, and we've got everything on the spectrum there. Some that have just been with us a really short time, a couple in between, and the likes of Tom Lowry, who's been with us for a lot longer. So certainly we hope those players go on and do really good things with their career and get other clubs going forward. And they've had a brilliant time. Whether that has been the likes of Alex, who had a much bigger contribution, I think, than most people will ever imagine, or some of the players that have played a lot more games than that. So, all of them go with our best wishes and thanks for everything they've done for the football club.
And to look forward, Andre Dezelle and Zach Swanson, they've had options in their deals and they'll be staying with the club. How pleased are you to have those two for next season?
Yeah, really pleased. Both have been a big part of what we've achieved this year, and they've had a big impact. And I think Andre came here as a free agent at the back end of the summer. He only signed just before the Leeds game. He had an immediate impact, and then through the season, I thought it just grew and grew. He was a big part of what we managed to achieve this year. And to have Andre for another year, we're delighted. We're delighted to secure his services, and the same with Zach. Really, I think there were probably quite a few question marks. Asked of Zach going into the season, particularly around his robustness, his ability to play games at the level. He'd never actually done it before at the level, so to come away with the amount of starts that he had and some of the levels of performance that he did, it's brilliant to have Zach with us for another year.
And I suppose important to mention as well, this break will give a chance to some of those injured players to recover before pre-season, the likes of Hayden Matthews, Jacob Farrell and Ivan Boet, who returned to training just before the season ended as well.
Yeah, we've still got plenty of those long-term injuries, and that's an important thing for us next year, is to try and make sure we get those players back. You mentioned a couple of them there. Paddy Lane added into the mix. Obviously, Jordan Williams and Tom Wadding have picked up injuries towards the end of the season as well, so we'll hopefully have them back by the start of pre-season. But yeah, a nice little break, a nice chance to rest, a nice chance to recover, but more importantly for those players to come back fit and firing for pre-season.
And yeah, as you alluded to before, a busy summer ahead. What does it look like for you now, both here at the training ground and off the football pitch as well?
Well, there's loads of work going here at the training ground. We've had the pitches redone, so the pitches are in the process of being redone. We've been going at that for a couple of weeks now. You can see that as you drive past, and I'm sure any of the health club members will see their car parking spaces have been cut down by the amount of sand in the car park. And so there's plenty of improvements going on at the training ground, not just to the pitches but also to the building itself, and we've used that time to make sure that we try and maximise the use of all that time we do have within the summer. I think similar things are going to happen down at Fratton Park as well, so really pleased we've managed to crack on with that. And away from that and away from the training ground, it looks like sort of not all systems go yet in terms of recruitment, because we're still waiting for the season to end. We're still waiting for a number of clubs to publish their released and retained list, but things will start hotting up, I think, from next week onwards, and certainly by the time the domestic season finishes with the Premier League, I think goes to the 25th of May. Once that finishes and once all of the Premier League sides are back off their tours, things start to settle down a bit more in terms of the market, and things start to move. So we're ready. We've been working hard over the past couple of months, and certainly since the back end of the January transfer window, to make sure we're in a good position. But it's a very, very different focus now. We go from focusing on matches week in, week out, and making sure that we've got that tactical preparation right, to not having that pressure, but focusing on a different type of pressure in trying to get recruitment right.
Obviously important for the players to rest and recuperate after such a long, gruelling season. Will you get a chance to switch off?
No, I don't think so. I don't. I'll have a chance to switch off, but I don't tend to do that particularly well. I really, to be honest, it's really enjoyable. So I really enjoy what I do. I guess the downtime for me is not having the stress of games, and that is nice. And sometimes when I'm sort of wrapped up in the midst of a game, you can probably see on the touchline, it's particularly the way that we do things here at Portsmouth. It's up and down. It's stressful. And so I don't have that, and that means it's a nice summer without that stress and strain there. But yeah, there's a different priority now, and there's a lot of work to do. There's a lot of preparation that goes into pre-season, because it's going to look like a very, very different pre-season to what it did last year. And I also think there's, recruitment never stops, so there's always something to do there.
Yeah, as you said, recruitment is going to be one of your main tasks. I know you won't want to give too much away on that front, but what do you think that could look like this summer?
I think it'll look busy, so it won't look as busy as the last 2 summers, but it'll still look busy. There'll be names through the door. It's not going to be 14. I think it's been 14 for the last 2 summers, but it's not going to be 1 or 2. It'll be somewhere in between that, and I think there's plenty to do. We still need to develop and build on the squad that we've got, and to make sure that we fill the spaces. We've straight away we've lost 6 loan players, and they're going to need replacing. Yes, we've got a few players coming back from injury, but you never know what we're going to pick up going forward. So there's loads to do, I think, and we're going to be nice and busy.
In terms of playing style, you've admitted that that had to change sort of midway through last season. Are you going to make any sort of slight tweaks to that going into the new campaign?
I think that the best way to put it is that towards the back end of the season, particularly if you look at the Watford game, the Norwich game, and parts of the game against Derby as well, I think that was probably close to what we're hoping to see next year. So a good combination of being able to play from the back, but also still the ability to go more direct as well. I think that at times in the first part of the season, we were a bit too obsessed with playing out from the back and got caught a few times. And then probably when we struggled at times the rest of the season as well, probably went a bit too direct, became a bit too predictable, and we want to fall somewhere in between that. And I thought we did that really well. Not just the result, but the performance against Norwich was a good example of the fact that, look at the first 2 goals, they're really good team goals that come from Nico playing into Freddie to start the move off. And we had everything in between as well, a couple of times where we went direct into Colby and scored from set pieces as well. So we want to get the right mix and the balance there, and I think that's an important thing for us going into next year.
And just finally, we've obviously had 1 season of Championship football behind us. Fair to say it was quite a roller coaster at some points, but how much excitement does that give you for 2025, 26 now? Yeah,
there's a huge amount of excitement, I think, building the second that we managed to stay up against Watford. I think we managed to sort of put all the League One plans to one side, move on to all of the Championship plans, not just in terms of recruitment, but in terms of improvements we can make around the football club, and that's a really exciting thing, I think, for us to do as a football club, as a coaching staff, as a playing staff as well. So there's a couple of obvious fixtures I think everyone's looking forward to, and there's plenty more in between as well. I think that's the beauty of the Championship as well, not just the derby that we've got, but every single game is a massive game. All of the clubs there, they're huge clubs. A lot of them are ex-Premier League clubs. We've got a couple of big clubs already coming up from League One, who are going to make things really, really interesting. So I think it's going to be a brilliant season. We've got to make sure we're right at it from the word go, and do as best we can.